The kingdom of Olanri buzzed with excitement. After 10 long years, Prince Adekunle was finally coming home. The air smelled of roasted yams and burning incense as villagers gathered in the palace square, eager to see their future king. The talking drums sang his name, their rhythms echoing through the hills. Inside the grand palace, King Adedeo and Queen Mareo stood at the entrance, their royal robes glittering in the sunlight. The king was a proud and wise ruler, while the queen, a woman of noble birth, believed strongly in tradition. As the golden carriage pulled up, the prince stepped out. He was tall and broad-shouldered, his skin dark as polished ebony. His deep-set eyes scanned the crowd, and a smile played on his lips. "Welcome home, my son," the king said, embracing him. "It is good to be back, father," Adekunle replied, bowing before his parents. That night, a grand feast was held in his honor. Dancers moved like flames in the firelight, their beaded waists swaying to the beat of the drums. But amid the celebration, the royal council had an important matter to discuss: his marriage. "The prince must take a wife," Chief Ajibade, the head of the council, declared. "The gods favor a young and pure bride." Queen Mareo nodded. "We shall hold a dance of the maidens. The most graceful and well-mannered virgin in the land shall be his wife." Prince Adekunle said nothing. In Olanri, a royal marriage was duty, not choice. Weeks later, the palace courtyard was transformed into a festival ground. The most beautiful virgins of the kingdom, dressed in rich fabrics, lined up for the dance contest. They swayed their hips, their movements full of elegance and poise. Among them was Princess Omowunmi, the daughter of Chief Olawale, one of the wealthiest men in Olanri. She was stunning, her dark skin smooth like silk, her eyes fierce with confidence. When it was her turn, she danced with unmatched grace, her feet barely touching the ground. At the end of the contest, the seer, Chief Priest Adekunle, raised his staff. "The gods have chosen. Omowunmi shall be the prince's wife." The villagers erupted in cheers. Omowunmi smirked, her heart swelling with pride. She had won, not just the prince, but power. The royal wedding was the grandest Olanri had ever seen. Prince Adekunle and Princess Omowunmi were joined as husband and wife, and the kingdom rejoiced. But as the days turned to weeks, Omowunmi's true nature began to surface. She was arrogant and demanding, treating the palace servants like animals. "You dare look me in the eye, you filthy rat!" she snapped at a young maid, slapping her across the face. The queen adored her, believing she was fit for royalty, but the people whispered. "She is cruel," they murmured. "She does not respect the gods." Then came the worst news. Months passed, and Omowunmi did not conceive a child. The elders grew concerned. "The gods are displeased," Chief Priest Adekunle warned. "The prince must take another wife, one who is favored by the gods." Queen Mareo was furious. "She is of noble blood. The gods will bless her soon." But the prince was torn. He needed an heir. One evening, the prince sat in the temple, deep in thought. Chief Priest Adekunle approached him. "The gods have spoken. You must marry Adizwa, the daughter of Balagan the drunk. She is the one chosen to bear your son." Prince Adekunle was stunned. Adizwa, the girl whose father was the village disgrace. But when he met her, he was shocked. She was young but wise, gentle yet strong. "My prince," she greeted, bowing. "I did not expect this." He studied her carefully. Unlike Omowunmi, she was kind-hearted and humble. She spoke of the land, the people, and duty. Despite the queen's protests, Adekunle married Adizwa. To everyone's surprise, she quickly became pregnant. Even Queen Mareo softened toward her. But Omowunmi was burning with jealousy. Then, a week after Adizwa's pregnancy was announced, Omowunmi discovered she was pregnant too. The palace erupted with joy. All attention shifted to Omowunmi, and Adizwa was pushed aside. Adizwa sat on the edge of her bed, her hands resting on her growing belly. She had felt the shift in the palace, the whispers, the side glances, the cold indifference. Before Omowunmi's pregnancy, the queen had begun to show her warmth, but now, everything had changed. The news of Omowunmi's pregnancy a week after hers had sealed her fate. Overnight, she became an afterthought. When she walked through the palace halls, the servants who once smiled at her now averted their eyes. The king rarely visited her chambers anymore. The only person who remained kind was her handmaiden, Ifedeo, who often encouraged her. One evening, she approached Adekunle. "My prince, I feel unwelcome here. Please, allow me to visit my mother." Adekunle, already distracted by his duties and Omowunmi's pregnancy, responded with cold detachment. "Go if you must, but do not return." Adizwa froze. "What?" He didn't meet her gaze. "Your presence only stirs trouble. Leave and be at peace." Tears welled in her eyes, but she held her dignity. Without another word, she turned and left. Months later, Omowunmi went into labor. The palace erupted in celebration. Finally, the prince's first child was about to be born. The queen, nobles, and even villagers waited eagerly for the news, but when the midwife emerged and announced, "It is a girl," the joy faltered. Queen Moreo's smile disappeared. The palace fell into a stunned silence. A daughter, Omowunmi, still recovering, noticed the shift in energy. Instead of the praise and gifts she expected, she received forced smiles and polite words. The king sighed but reassured himself. The next one will be a son. But Adizwa, in the city, gave birth to a son. When the news reached the palace, Queen Moreo clutched her chest. A son? The second wife. Prince Adekunle felt a strange mix of emotions, relief, joy, and regret. He had exiled the woman who had given him an heir. Meanwhile, Omowunmi fumed. She forced a smile in public, but behind closed doors, she smashed ceramic plates against the wall. "She cannot have my place," she screamed to her maid. Omowunmi became desperate to give the prince a son. She prayed, fasted, and made offerings to the gods. She performed rituals at dawn, bathed in sacred oils, and swallowed bitter herbs. When she became pregnant again, the palace held its breath. But after a long and difficult labor, the midwife emerged, hesitant. "It is another daughter." Queen Moreo wept in frustration. The king clenched his fists. The whispers in the palace grew louder. "The gods have forsaken her. She is not the mother of the heir. Perhaps the prince should take a third wife?" Omowunmi noticed how people treated her differently now. The queen, once her greatest supporter, started to distance herself. "The gods must be angry with you," she told Omowunmi. "You must do more to cleanse yourself." Omowunmi tried again. Another daughter. By the time she had 4 daughters, her status in the palace had completely collapsed. The same people who once worshipped her now pitted her. "She was once powerful," they murmured. "But a queen who cannot give a son is no queen at all." Queen Moreo now only spoke to her in formal tones, favoring the daughters but not her. Her biggest fear had come true. She had become insignificant. The king, tormented by regret and frustration, sought advice from the chief priest. "The gods are still angry," Chief Priest Adekunle said. "You should not take a third wife. She too will only bear you daughters." "Then what must I do?" the king asked, his voice filled with desperation. The priest's answer was clear. "You must find your son. Only then will the gods be appeased." But Adizwa and her son were nowhere to be found. 20 years later, King Adekunle sat on his throne, a bitter and weary man. His daughters were now grown, but the throne still had no male heir. The once proud Omowunmi, now aged, sat in a corner of the palace. She no longer walked with her usual pride. Her daughters were her only joy. Then one fateful afternoon, a royal messenger arrived. "My king, there is a young man at the palace gates. He claims to be your son." The entire court fell silent. King Adekunle's heart pounded. Could it be? The palace doors opened. A tall, broad-shouldered young man stepped forward. His resemblance to the king was undeniable. Behind him stood Adizwa. She was older, but still regal, her eyes filled with wisdom. Omowunmi gasped in shock. Queen Moreo covered her mouth, her eyes wide. The young man bowed. "I am Aderimi, son of Adekunle and Adizwa. I have come home." The court erupted into murmurs. The king stood from his throne, his legs trembling. "My son," Adizwa met his gaze. "We have returned." The king rushed to embrace them both. Tears streamed down his face. "Forgive me," he whispered. Adizwa's voice was calm. "The gods have already decided your fate." Even Omowunmi fell to her knees. I wronged you. Please forgive me." Aderimi turned to his 4 half-sisters, who had only heard stories about him. They stepped forward, unsure. Then the eldest spoke. "Welcome home, big brother." Aderimi smiled. "Thank you, little sister." A wave of relief washed over the palace. The gods had finally forgiven the kingdom. With his son by his side, King Adekunle's strength returned. Aderimi was officially named crown prince, and the land flourished. Adizwa was restored as the respected mother of the heir. Omowunmi, though humbled, devoted herself to raising her daughters, who were given high-ranking noble marriages. The royal family was whole again. The people rejoiced. The gods smiled. And thus, the kingdom of Olanri was at peace once more.